Just because a pregnant woman like me tend to focus on my own health doesn't mean that I'm spoiling myself. As a pregnant woman, I'm trying to protect the baby growing inside me. So that's why I wouldn't care less what other people say about me behind my back. I also don't care if they try to pick on me, because I'm just trying to protect my precious baby. My baby and I are risking our lives every day just to live each day to the fullest. But my mother-in-law always tries to get in the way and puts my baby and I's lives in danger. I'll never, ever forgive her for this. I'm now in my 9th month of pregnancy. My stomach is getting bigger and bigger each day that it's hard to even look down at my feet. I'm emotionally unstable partly due to the hormonal imbalance of my first pregnancy with the upcoming birth of our baby next month. Knowing what I'm going through, my husband Nick is doing all his best to support me. On his days off, he takes care of all the house chores, including cooking meals, so that I could take a break. Potassium helps ease the swelling, so I made a salad with cucumbers and chicken breast. Nick has been taking very good care of me and my baby. I am extremely grateful. But there's just one person who spoils all these moments. You spoil your wife too much with everything. The person who glared at us, or more precisely at me alone, while she said that was my mother-in-law Lily, who lives with us. The reason we ended up living together was all because of Lily's clever strategy. Lily and her husband had lived in a house together until a few years ago, but after her husband passed away, she could no longer afford to live in that house and decided to move into municipal housing. To apply for it, you needed to win the lottery, and if you couldn't win that, you couldn't live there. The competition must be very high, but to my surprise, Lily happily told Nick that she had won the lottery. So, Nick and I went to Lily's house every weekend to help her pack for the move. Lily rarely moved around and only kept on giving us instructions on what to pack and where to clean. I was forced to not only cook lunch every day, but also to cook dinner for Lily. That vegetable stew was undercooked, so you should learn to cook better, you know. Ignoring all my efforts, Lily would only say negative things about what I do. Thanks to her, I'm always bothered by the issue I have with Lily, even though Nick and I haven't been even married for that long. Nick would try to support me, but when he does, Lily always gets in a bad mood. I'm always the bad guy anyway, right? She sulks just like a child. I felt sorry for Nick, who was always caught in between Lily and I, so every time I would apologize to Lily so she would feel better. So like that, our days of helping Lily had continued. But on the day of the move, a huge amount of her belongings were brought into our house. Huh? Why are they all here? While Nick and I were confused at what was happening, Lily arrived at our house in a taxi. Lily gave instructions to the movers so that they could move in all of her things into the room quickly and efficiently. Nick calls out to her, "What is going on?" Well, you can see what's happening, right? I'm moving in. We ended up finding out that Lily didn't even apply for the municipal housing lottery. She had planned to move in with us from the very beginning and had us help her move by telling lies to us. Lily's belongings were being moved into a room that I had planned to use for our child in the future. She didn't like Nick and I's reaction towards her moving in with us, so she started to make these sarcastic comments. I know it would be annoying for you both if I'm here, but do you think an old person like me could live alone at my age now? I can't even sleep because I'm afraid of what would happen. Then, Lily acts really sad as if we would feel sorry for her. It was nothing but a masterful performance. The movers also heard her and it looked like they pitied her. After all, I am disturbing your love nest, right? I wouldn't like it if I had an old person live with me. The way she said this was completely on purpose, and it really disgusted me. Oh, that's not true, so don't say that. Nick was tricked by his own mother's tears. Well then, please take care of me well. Thank you. So this was how Lily had moved in, and this was how we were forced to start living together. The nearest municipal housing was already full, so Nick looked for an apartment for Lily, but she wouldn't budge. I don't want to live there unless the apartment's less than 5 years old. Since my only income is pension, I also can't afford the rent. If you can pay me, then I'll consider it. Lily saying things like that in a selfish way had continued, so she continued to live with us. In the meantime, Lily became more and more involved in our private life, and a year passed since she moved in with us. As Lily's daughter-in-law, I couldn't really complain, and eventually it became normal for Nick that Lily was at our home. Since Lily was always at home, it was difficult for me to find a place where I could relax. Not long after that, I found out that I was pregnant. Both Nick and Lily was very happy about it. Lily, who had always treated me so harshly, supported me a lot for the sake of her unborn grandchild. But when she found out that our baby was a girl, her attitude changed drastically. Why isn't the baby a boy? You really are a useless wife. She began to pick on me again. Even when I was dizzy with anemia or lying down since my stomach hurt, she would wake me up without even caring about my health and forced me to do all the house chores. Nick was the only person who can stand between Lily and I. But lately, he has been very busy at work, working overtime and coming home after 10 p.m. Knowing that he's also physically tired, I didn't want him to have to worry about the issues back at home, so I just tried to bear with the situation. I decided to be patient until the birth of my child, but there was a limit to my patience too. It was way better than not taking any action. That's what I thought to myself. One day, Lily's old friend came to visit. She's coming around our town to attend her relative's wedding. So please make sure to take care of her and entertain her well when she comes. She was coming to our house tomorrow. Lily's abruptness is nothing new, so I wasn't really surprised about it. Tomorrow, I can just get some takeout for them. As for the cleaning, Nick did his best to make the living room sparkling clean. So, we were all ready for Lily's friend to come over. But on the day, it unexpectedly rained heavily. It was a very strong rain, almost like it was hailing, since the rain was pounding on the windows. Lily, who was staring blankly outside, says something outrageous to me again. With this kind of rain, I think my friend is stuck at the bus station, so please go pick her up. What? I regret so much about the fact that I questioned her back. Lily, looking in a bad mood, glared at me and says this. Even a pregnant woman can at least drive a car, right? So just go. How could you? I can't. Not with the weather this bad. Being 9 months in my pregnancy period, my stomach is so big that I feel like it's already reached its limit. It's too cramped and painful to drive, and if I should happen to get into an accident due to this weather, it would be just horrible. As I looked into Lily's eyes, I firmly told her that I was worried about picking her friend up in this weather, and that I wanted to give priority to my baby, and that I wanted to rest. Even though I said that, Lily's attitude didn't change at all. You're just spoiling yourself by making ridiculous excuses. I've always listened to whatever my mother-in-law said, even when I was pregnant. But if I drive in this weather and get into an accident, that would be your fault for being careless. Just hurry up and go. Lily, I really can't. I'm sorry. Are you talking back to your own mother-in-law? I can't believe I have to deal with a useless wife like you. Lily's face turned red, and she was furious. Then she grabbed my arm, mercilessly opened the front door, and threw me out. Stunned by the strong rain beating down on my skin, Lily throws the car keys at my feet. Hurry the hell up and just go! While we're arguing like this, my friend is waiting at the bus station, you know? I pleaded to Lily desperately, thinking for the baby in my stomach. There is a different way for your friend to get here, like by a taxi. Just go! Lily tried to close the door, and I, desperate to stop her, fought with her at the front door. I was completely soaked from the rain. Lily stubbornly refused to let me in, despite the fact that a pregnant woman wasn't allowed to get cold. And at that moment, someone put his hand on the door behind me.
What are you doing? Mom, hurry up and let her in.
Nick had come home early. He had come home on time without doing any overtime due to the bad weather. Nick frowned at the situation. I was finally able to enter the house, and Nick immediately wiped my cold body with a towel. Seeing this, Lily was in a completely bad mood. Why do you always take her side? I am your mother. You're terrible.
You're the one who's terrible, Mom. You're out of your mind letting a pregnant woman out in this heavy rain. What the hell is wrong with you?
Lily was all teary-eyed as Nick raised his voice, which was pretty rare. I didn't do anything wrong. I just told her to pick up my friend with a car. Nick sighed loudly as Lily began to cry in an exaggerated manner. Nick, thinking that talking to Lily won't solve anything, asked me what had happened. I told him everything Lily had done and said to me. Then, Lily, who should have been crying, immediately argued back at what I had explained to Nick. She's lying. She wants to get rid of me and she's just trying to make me look bad. She screamed hysterically and interrupted me to prevent me from speaking any further. Nick tried his best to calm Lily down, but the situation didn't change at all. Instead, it got worse and worse. You are just being brainwashed by her. You used to be a kind and gentle boy who cared for your mother. Just when both Nick and I were completely overwhelmed by Lily's words, the doorbell rang at just the right moment. When we opened the door, Lily's friend, Pauline, was there. Apparently, she had taken a taxi and had arrived safely. Feeling something wrong was going on, Pauline asked me if something had happened. So Lily took this opportunity to start saying bad things about me while explaining the situation. I'm sorry I made you take a taxi all the way out here. I was going to ask Nick's wife to pick you up, but she wouldn't because she's pregnant. Really, most of the young wives nowadays are too spoiled. Lily says this so that her friend would agree with her, but her response was surprising. You tried to get Nick's pregnant wife to pick me up in the middle of a storm like this? How unbelievable! That's called abuse! Lily's smile stiffened at Pauline's straightforward comment. Instead of defending her own friend, Pauline raises her tone and began to criticize Lily even more. Lily, your arrogant attitude toward those who are weaker than you and your attitude toward those who are superior to you haven't changed at all. In fact, you've gotten worse, Lily. Hearing Pauline criticize her like this, Lily began to get upset. And the reason you went all through the trouble of inviting me to come over this time was just to show off your happy self living with your son and his wife, wasn't it? I can see right through you, you know. That's not true. I knew that a person like you would never be able to live together with Nick's wife happily, but I never thought that you would be that horrible to her. Pauline really didn't hold back and kept on going on. To be honest, I was surprised to see Lily unable to argue back to Pauline at all. She looked at me, Nick, and Pauline awkwardly. Perhaps trying to get out of it somehow, Lily began to point at me and say this. I wouldn't have tried to force her to pick you up if she had been nicer to me. And yet, she's always against me. I have all the right reasons to get angry at her. The only time I have ever went against her was just now. But Lily's attitude, where she was showing off that she was not in the wrong, was making me more and more angry. Above all, I couldn't forgive her for putting my baby in danger, so I finally decided to take action. I recorded every abusive comments you have ever made about me. I quickly put my own phone in front of everyone. I had actually been recording as evidence every time Lily had accused me of being a crappy wife right from the beginning when we first started living together. No matter how much Lily and I had a bad relationship, she was still Nick's only mother. I didn't really want to do anything that would expose the true nature of such an important person. But if she goes this far, I couldn't keep being silent either. I started to play the recording of the exchange that we just had in the rain at a very loud volume. Then gradually, Lily's face turned pale. Pauline sighed as she listened, and it seemed like she knew this had happened. And Nick had an angry look on his face.
Mom, this is too much. How could you do this to my precious wife?
Nick seemed to be seriously offended, and his voice got really low, filled with anger. The evidence of Lily bullying me got exposed, and Lily flopped down on the spot without making any lame excuses like she would before. After checking on Lily, Pauline quickly got into the taxi which was waiting by the front door. I rushed over to her and thanked her. Thank you very much for what you said back there. Oh, it's okay. I also feel much better now that I've gotten rid of the grudge I had towards her for a very long time. She's always had a bad personality, you know. But Nick seems to have grown up properly, which is a relief. I hope everything goes well with you and your baby. At the front door, I saw Lily slumped over and Nick looking down at her.
Which do you prefer? Living in a nursing home or living alone in an apartment?
Nick seemed to have completely given up on Lily after this incident and was forcing her to make the ultimate choice between the two in order to stop living with her. I am so sorry. I will do everything with my power to make this right. So please don't abandon me. Despite Lily's pleas, Nick didn't budge at all. He made sure for Lily to decide it by tomorrow and went into the back of the room. I didn't speak to Lily either and quickly began to prepare dinner. When it was time for dinner, Lily still didn't move from where she was. Actually, Pauline came to Nick and I's wedding. It was Pauline who came to our table and secretly whispered to me that she cared about me, as I would have a hard time with Lily, and that she told me that I could consult with her if anything happened to me. Remembering what Pauline had said, I called her and asked her to come over and check on how Lily would abuse me. Pauline gladly accepted my request, and that was how she had come over to our house. Lily refuses to live alone or be in a nursing home. So, Nick just decided to move her into a nursing home. Fortunately, Lily had enough money from her husband's inheritance and savings, so there weren't any money issues. And I had cut off ties from Lily. Lily would send me monthly letters of apology, but I never responded back. I never responded because on the letter, her apology was only one sentence, and the rest of the letter was full of complaints about the nursing home where she lived in. I feel as if someone was always watching me. I would have preferred to live alone. I am not that old yet. Even though she complains like this, it's not like I'll do anything about it for her. Nick also refused to receive the letter from Lily, and since then, she had stopped contacting Nick. In no time, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl on the due date. We are now doing our best to raise our child in our home without Lily. This is what happiness as a couple is all about. Every day I exchange smiles with my husband. I hope the three of us can continue to live together in peace. My name is Katie, and I'm 37 years old. I married my husband Steve last year, and we bought a house together. Steve is 10 years younger than me. To be honest, I never dreamed that I would marry someone 10 years younger than me. When we started dating, I thought we would eventually break up, but before I knew it, we had quickly reached to marriage. Even when he proposed to me, I was the one who asked him if he was really okay to be married with me. But then, Steve replies with, "I'll definitely protect you, Katie, so please marry me." I thought to myself how lucky I was to be with someone so kind and gentle. However, our newlywed life was not all lovey-dovey and didn't get to have much time alone with just the two of us. Steve's mother, Lily, completely went against our marriage and made a fuss saying, "My own son Steve is going to leave me, his own mother, and choose that woman, that devilish woman." Lily was not at all pleased with the fact that I was 10 years older than Steve. I thought to myself that it's no surprise that she opposes me, given Steve and I's age difference. And then Lily gave me a condition in exchange for her approval of our marriage. She demands by saying, "You must live with me." I thought it was a bit too far-fetched, but Lily would not allow us to get married at all unless we obeyed her request, so we agreed. Besides, Steve at that time couldn't really ignore his mother like that. "You know, my mother raised me all on her own, right?" So I felt like I had to return the favor. Lily had raised Steve all alone as a single mother. Steve was grateful for that and wanted to repay by taking care of her. As for me, I couldn't really do anything to get in the way between Lily and Steve's bond, so we decided to live together. I wanted Lily to see the two of us, Steve and I, as a normal married couple and to gain her approval. We decided to live together in a house that we had purchased as our new home. We hoped that this would improve our relationship with Lily. But oh yes, we were very much mistaken. "Katie, can't you even do your housework properly? What in the world have you learned at your age? This is why I hate women who are older than Steve." Lily's bullying only got worse. Like Steve, I worked overtime and often came home late, leaving me with little time to take care of the housework. With all due respect, Lily, I work just like Steve does. So please understand that I can't do everything perfectly. That's what I would say to argue back, but you instantly disobey people who are older than you, huh? What a bossy wife you are. Hearing what she said, it looks like she gets more fired up and bullies me even more once I argue back to her. Steve, seeing all of this, says, "Mother, stop talking to Katie like that." He always defended me. To that, Lily looks shocked and says, "Well, Steve, honey, you weren't like this before. It's all Katie's fault that you started rebelling against your own mother." While saying this, she would wipe her tears with a tissue. And then she would give me this very cold, angry glare. "This is all your fault. I don't know why Steve got married to a woman like you." This would happen every single time. Wow, I really can't believe that I'm kind of living a life of the one that you'd see in soap operas, where wives get picked on by their mother-in-laws. I guess Lily is frustrated that her beloved Steve was taken away by a wife who's way older than him, and also she just enjoys bullying me like it's her hobby. Day by day, Lily has turned into a very spoiled person, and she was going out of control. I had to take care after her grandmother before I had any experience in taking care of a baby, and I was having a hard time with it. "Katie, I'm sorry about this." "It's okay. Thank you for always being there for me." I actually feel really bad for Steve. His own mother hated and kept on bullying who he loves. Steve, who loves me very much, has tried many times to get her to move out, but I couldn't agree to his idea. I kind of felt sorry for Lily, even though she was like that. I believe that if I just put up with it, Lily would one day understand and maybe change for the better. That's what I believed. But Lily's verbal abuse towards me didn't stop. On the first New Year's Day after our marriage, we gathered at a relative's house. Lily, who usually never left the house, was so happy to see and talk with people as she was in an excited mood. Every day, Katie makes excuses that she has work, but in reality, she doesn't do anything at all. And she leaves all the housework to me. Can you believe that? If she did that during our generation, that would be unacceptable, right? I really don't know where she got her common sense. Lily was talking about me to all my relatives over drinks. She talked bad things about me even here. If it was only within our family, I'd be okay as I'm used to it. But now I was getting angry by the minute. Lily's voice was so loud that her conversation, which was held in the hall, even reached me in the kitchen. One of my husband's relatives, Lisa, who was with me, says, "Katie, it looks like you're having a hard time, aren't you?" She called out to me, looking worried. "Oh, yes, well, I'm managing somehow." Living with Lily is not a comforting experience, isn't it? Especially with Lily being like that. Well, actually, you're right. Without thinking, I let out my true feelings. Why don't you talk to Helen about it? Helen is Steve's aunt and Lily's sister. She's an older sister and she has always been kind and reliable. But would she even listen to me complaining about her own sister? While I was thinking that to myself, "Katie!" I heard a very loud voice echoing through the kitchen. "Oh, Lily, what's wrong now?" "You always make me keep asking you to bring me more drinks because we're out of it." "Sorry, I'll bring it out now." I sighed and hurriedly brought the beer. Lily was in the middle of chatting with her relatives and looked a little bit drunk. As I brought a cold bottle of beer and a new glass, Lily snatched it away from me and says, "Katie, you really are a clumsy wife, aren't you?" She says as she glares at me. Why the hell would she say that? As I was thinking this, Lily poured the beer into the glass for a relative who was sitting next to her. It's common sense to pour drinks into empty glasses, isn't it? This is what you always lack, Katie. You're really a useless person with a bad upbringing. Lily's words made everyone around look a little uncomfortable, but she didn't care. I felt that if I got angry at Lily at this point, this would put me in the same fighting ring as Lily, so I just casually decided to laugh it off. That's my mother-in-law. She really knows her way around drinks. I learn a lot from you, Lily. My usual business smile came in handy. Lily was also smiling with a huge grin on her face, thinking as if what she did was amazing. It seems like she's satisfied now. Katie, are you alright? It was Lily's sister Helen who spoke to me all worried, looking at how exhausted I was. I'm really sorry about my sister. It's always so difficult to deal with her, isn't it? Oh, no. I denied it, but to be honest, I was so fed up with Lily that I couldn't manage to lie that well in front of Helen. Living together with Lily, is it difficult? Yes, it actually is. Lily doesn't seem to like me at all. I sighed and complained to Helen about my problems with Lily. Helen had listened to every word I said and finally says, "If you have any problems, you can always talk to me." I was moved by her kind and reassuring words, as if she was like my real mother. Yes, I have a kind ally who will help me when I'm really in trouble. I felt a little better, and like this, I was able to go on with the New Year's holiday. Thank you, and I'm sorry for what happened, Katie.
I'm sorry about all the things my mother has said to you.
Oh, it's okay. Lily was drunk, and because of that, I'm sure she just got carried away. I tried to think so, but I was too naive. Lily's verbal abuse towards me, who didn't try to argue back to her, escalated even more. Steve's relatives likes to hold family events, and they usually get together whenever they have the chance. I was sent out forcefully by Lily to help out every single time. Steve tells me that I didn't have to come if I was busy, but Lily would always force me to go. And every time, I would receive verbal abuse from Lily. Katie, don't get all carried away just because you have a job. A wife should always stand 3 steps behind her husband and quietly watch over him. You think you're unequal with Steve, but he's a better man than you. You don't understand anything. She was verbally abusing me publicly in front of my relatives again. What's so wrong of me working at my job? What's so wrong being the same position as my husband? Steve tried repeatedly to warn Lily, but I felt very awkward about being everyone's attention on this lively drinking party. All I could do was just sit in silence and listen to Lily's terrible words. Then one day, Lily said something so horrible which made me decided that I could no longer live with her. It was at a family gathering as usual, and Lily, as usual, would be verbally abusive to me to make her feel better. What in the world does my son like about Katie? I really shouldn't have allowed him to marry her. Lily drinks with the relatives while saying such things. She can't even get pregnant, so what's the point of them getting married? Don't you think so? Lily says in a snarly voice, as if she is asking the people around her to agree with her. I felt the air freeze at her words. Steve's hand holding the glass began to shake, and I dropped the tray which I was holding on the floor.
What did you just say, Mother?
Steve asked in a low voice, as if trying to suppress his anger. What do you mean? I only said if she can't get pregnant, what's the point of you and Katie's marriage? I mean, aren't I right? Marriage at 37 means that she's given up on getting pregnant, right? That's why I was against the marriage, but you wouldn't listen to me. It's too late to regret anything. I wonder if Lily really understood the actual meaning of what she was saying. Steve and I definitely wanted kids. Indeed, I'm almost 40, so my chances of getting pregnant are slim. Still, I wanted his child and had just started going through fertility treatments. I didn't tell Lily a word about this. I knew that if I told her, she would criticize me again. Hey, Katie, let's make this clear once and for all. If you don't want to have kids, then get divorced already. Steve is still young, so he can start over as much as he wants. Okay? At that moment, something inside me had snapped. The wiring that I had worked so hard to endure all this time had snapped with the words kids and divorce. You really hate me, don't you, Lily? Yes, I do hate you. I hate you so much. Lily looks at me smiling as she says that. Okay then, well just now, we are no longer living together anymore. Could you please leave my house, Lily? What are you talking about? You're crazy. You joke too much in front of all my relatives, and it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but I'm not joking at all. You cannot stay in our house any longer, I declared firmly. Obviously, sensing a change in the atmosphere, all the relatives instantly moved away from us. Hey, what are you talking about? Well, if you hate me so much, then why are you living in our house? You have no right to demand me to leave. Oh, yes I do. That house is mine. It is up to me whether I let you live there or kick you out, Lily. Lily looks really shocked. Wait a minute, Steve. What's the meaning of all this? Lily asks Steve for help.
Mom, I told you many times, didn't I? Don't make fun of Katie too much.
Steve responded coldly.
I told you that Katie built that house by herself, didn't I? Why can't you even remember something so important?
Because normally it should be the husband who builds the house, right? Lily would always think that the husbands are the ones who built houses to provide for their family. Steve just sighed and continued. And I was against moving in with you, Mother. But Katie insisted on having you live with us, so I had no choice. So that's enough. If you make fun of my wife anymore, even if you're my own mother, I will not allow it. Lily, with tears in her eyes, argues back. Excuse me? No way! You're kidding, right? Steve, aren't you on my side?
Your side? I'm more like your enemy, Mother. I can't believe that you're my own mother who verbally abuses my own beloved wife like this.
Oh, Steve, why? Lily burst into tears and tried to hang on to Steve desperately, but it was already too late. Anyways, please pack your bags by the end of this week. As I said this, Lily looked at me with despair. No way! Katie, please, wait a minute. I apologize for everything I've done, so let's continue to live happily together. Okay? She says as if nothing had happened. I can't do that. I can't live any longer with someone who doesn't have a shred of gratitude. No! I want to continue to spend time with you both, okay? Please stay away from me. And please get out of my house as soon as possible. I am the landlord here. I told her with no remorse.
Mother, it is what it is, so get ready to leave. We won't help you.
Lily had heard her son and his wife demand for her to leave the house, all in front of her relatives. Only few people sympathized with her. It was because everyone knew what she had been saying this whole time. Katie, good job. Thank you. It was Steve's aunt, Helen, who approached us after. Actually, this whole idea was Helen's. We have to teach my sister a lesson. Katie, you did a good job. Steve, you have to protect your wife.
Auntie, thank you for helping me save Katie.
Helen and I had actually been in touch with each other frequently. When I couldn't stand Lily's abuse, I would always consult to Helen about it. Helen always supported me gently. But won't it be a trouble for you, Helen, from now on? It's okay. Don't you worry about such things. I will be monitoring Lily from now on. So you both should just think about living your lives first. Thank you so much. I really couldn't thank her enough. After that, I asked Lily to leave our house as planned. Helen was the one who strictly got angry at Lily, although she resisted to the very end. This is what you did to yourself. Why don't you reflect about all the things you've said that hurt people's feelings? Helen came over to pick Lily up, and that was how she left our house. Supposedly, Lily repeatedly went over to Helen and asked if Helen could also beg us to forgive Lily and to accept her back again. But to that, Helen yelled at Lily, "That's enough! Think about how they feel and how they don't want anything to do with you anymore." Lily cried like a little child and said bitterly, "That woman brainwashed my son and made him her own." After Lily was kicked out of our house, she began living alone. I don't know where she lives, but I don't need to know that anymore. And we also moved out of our home. In fact, Steve had just been transferred and I had just submitted my transfer request. The house was originally built with my parents' inheritance, so there was no mortgage and it was easy to sell it. We made some money after selling the house, and this made life a little more comfortable. If Lily were to visit our previous home, she would surely feel lonely and hopeless. We knew this and chose to part ways.
Katie, I'm home.
Welcome home, honey. I greeted Steve at the door with my big stomach.
I'm looking forward to our baby. I'm finally becoming a father.
I'm counting on you, sweetie. Soon we will be parents. Steve is determined to protect me, even if he has to cut ties off from his own mother. No matter what happens, we can get through it as a couple. I'm so glad that I married him. I believe that with all my heart. My name is Judy. I'm a 40-year-old housewife. I live with my husband Jack, who is 2 years older than me, and with our cat. We have been married for 15 years now. If you ask me that if I have been completely satisfied with my marriage so far, I would say not really. That is partly because we were unable to have kids. And the other reason is that Jack works at a low-salary job, and he doesn't help with the housework and spends his day off just hanging out at home. And what's more, Jack is a bit of a mama's boy, and even though he is in his 40s, he still wants to visit his parents-in-law's house, which is very close by.
My mom is a lot more lonely now since my dad passed away.
Jack makes excuses like that, but there's no way that his mom, Mary, is weak like that. She had no manners and also had a terrible personality. You know what? I was standing in line at the supermarket the other day and I farted, and it made a very loud noise. I was so embarrassed that I turned around and blamed it on the person behind me and said to that person, "It's so rude to fart." Mary laughed as she told the story of what had happened while they were shopping, and Jack, who was listening, also laughed with her, but I was just disgusted and didn't want to be with them. I couldn't believe that Mary was my mother-in-law. Mary has only a few friends because of her character and personality, and she's the kind of person whose only hobby seems to be picking on her daughter-in-laws. I wouldn't have a hard time going to Mary's house if I had a good relationship with her, but no wife would want to be near a mother-in-law with a personality like that. My brother-in-law Phil and his wife, Anna, who used to live together at Mary's house, also ran away because Anna also couldn't stand Mary. I mean, I can completely understand her. If my father-in-law was still alive, living with them may have been tolerable, but I wonder what kind of punishment it would be to live with only Mary. Unlike me, who argued back with my own opinions directly, Anna is a quiet and patient person. But even that quiet Anna wanted to get as far away from Mary as possible. So what kind of abuse did she get from Mary which made her want to get away like that? Phil, my brother-in-law, who is also a mama's boy like Jack, didn't want to move that far away. So now Mary, Phil and Anna, and Jack and I are all living separately, but we all just live close by each other. Jack and Phil were both mama's boys. I don't know what's so good about a mother like Mary. But I can still put up with Mary as long as we live in separate households. If Mary should ever ask me to live with her, I'll definitely reject it. I had firmly promised myself to do so. But when Mary called us over the other day, she had brought up the topic about living together. I've been thinking about it, and I think it's finally time for us to move in together. When can you move in? Suddenly, Mary had gathered us and Phil and Anna and started talking about moving in together. She made it sound like she had already decided to move in with us on her own. And I'm also surprised that she even jumped to discussing on when to move in together. Huh? Now, wait a minute. I don't want to live together with you, Mary. I saw Anna go through a lot of hardships, and I don't want to go through the same thing. I am not asking you, I am asking Jack. Even though I firmly refused to live with her, Mary didn't listen to what I had to say at all. If we were to live together, I should be involved in the discussion too, but of course, she ignores my opinion.
Well, I don't mind. I don't mind living together. It would be easier for you to take care of Mom in the future if we all lived together, right?
well, of course, Jack would agree to live together. And he did so on the premise that I would be the one taking care of Mary. Taking care of Mary? Me? Are you kidding me? Mary has been bullying Anna and I for years, and now you want me to take care of her? How could you even say that? I said it as I sighed, but Mary looked disappointed. Oh no, how could you accuse me like that? As an elder housewife who's much more experienced, I just gave you both some advice, that's all. How could she even think that what she was doing was giving some advice? In any case, I don't want to live with Mary or take care of her. If you really insist to live together, then we'll get a divorce. Jack got nervous hearing what I said.
Hey, divorce over something like this, you're overreacting.
Overreacting? Forcing someone to live with you or having to take care without asking about my own opinions are good reasons for a divorce. I have a job with a fixed income, so getting a divorce doesn't bother me at all. When I argued back, Jack got silent. Well then, it can't be helped. If Judy really doesn't want to do it, then I'll just have to ask Phil and Anna to come back. Now, it was Anna's turn to start panicking. No, I don't want to. If I have to live with Mary again, I'll go mental. I will never do it. But this time, Phil began to argue back.
Now, calm down, Anna. My mom may have been a little hard on you in the past, but she did it for your sake. Mom is sorry for what she did.
She's sorry? As far as I can see, Mary doesn't seem to be sorry at all. Yes, exactly. I mean, you never say anything back whenever I try to talk to you. There's no thrill in that. A strong-willed wife like Judy is a problem, but a wife who doesn't say anything is also a problem too, isn't it?
That's right. You have things that you should reflect back on too, you know.
What? Anna was absolutely mortified by Phil's unbelievable comment. I was also feeling the same as Anna, as I was standing beside her, and I was just too stunned to say anything.
Besides, Anna, you've become a housewife all your life, so if you get divorced, you'll be in trouble right away. It's not like you have a job like Judy.
When Phil began to say that, Mary jumped into that conversation. Exactly. Anna, if you keep being selfish, Phil could leave you, you know? If a woman with neither good looks nor good style gets rejected, she'll have no choice but to go out on the street. What exactly is Mary sorry about? I seriously wondered. Mary was enjoying how this talk was going to, so she looked really excited. Anna, you were still pretty when you were young. Now, you're so chubby. Come to think of it, it's that time of season where sea lions begin to move around, right?
Sea lions, huh? That's a good one.
Even Phil burst out laughing. How rude! Are you trying to call me a sea lion? Anna burst into tears and I tried to comfort her, but both Mary and Phil didn't stop talking. Oh no, stop being so paranoid. I was only talking about the sea lions, right, Phil? The sea lions flap their flippers and cry out, right?
She's just like them.
To my surprise, both Phil and Mary began to imitate a sea lion together. Please stop. What is wrong with you people? I shouted, and Anna burst into tears and ran out of the house. I shouted over to Mary as I stood up to chase after Anna. How horrible and inconsiderate of you. That's why neither Anna nor I want to live with you. Then Jack joins in.
You think you're all that because you're working, but after all, a woman trying to survive on her own is bound to end up on the street. Just like Anna, you'd be in trouble if you divorce me. Don't you dare even think of using divorce as a threat.
He glares at me as he says this. It It was true that I was in a better position than Anna, but I couldn't really say, yes, let's divorce right away. Anyways, I would never live with Mary, I said, and ran out of the house. I decided to find Anna and comfort her. After searching around for a while, I found Anna walking along the sidewalk. Anna! Oh, Judy. Anna's face was filled with tears. I managed to calm Anna down and went into a nearby coffee shop. I can't take it anymore. Mary has been bullying me, and Phil doesn't help me at all. I agreed to what she had to say. Well, yeah. Phil and Jack are both Mama's boys, aren't they? I sighed. If it's only light verbal abuse, then I can stand it, but I can't stand it anymore knowing that Phil is cheating on me too. And to think that even Mary is helping Phil have an affair? At Anna's sudden topic about Phil having an affair, I panicked. What? Wait a minute. Huh? Phil's having an affair? And Mary's cooperating? Oh, you had no idea? That man has been cheating on me for years. He kept on saying that he was going to visit Mary, but he was actually on a date with his mistress. Mary knew about it, and she was even helping him create an alibi. Anna was in tears, as if to vent all the feelings that had been building up inside her. I was so stunned and felt very bad for Anna. I pity her so much, being harassed by Mary and even being cheated on by her own husband. I completely agree with how you're feeling about all this, Anna. I feel so sorry for you. But why did you even put up with it? No matter how worried you are about how you'd live in the future, you shouldn't have to put up with this kind of life. I thought I was cheering her up by saying this. But Anna looked up at me with curious eyes. What do you mean, why am I putting up with it? Because it's the same for you, isn't it? Huh? Then Anna began to tell me an outrageous story. After hearing the whole story, Anna and I decided to team up and go against Mary and our husbands. They were all a bunch of assholes. There is no way they can mock Anna and I to this extent, and there's no way we both could remain silent about it. We will surely pay back for all that they've done to us. And 1 month after Anna and I's discussion, Mary ordered all of us to come over to her place again. Since then, Anna and I have been steadily making preparations without saying anything to our husbands. And this was the perfect opportunity. We all headed over to Mary's place. Well, I thought about it. And after all, either Phil's family or Jack's family would have to move in with me. Mary began to talk about the topic of moving in together once again. I'm getting old, and eventually I'll have to have one of my daughter-in-laws take care of me, so I figured it's better to begin practicing now. To this, Anna answered right away. I don't want to live with you, Mary. I will never live with you. If we have to live together, then I'll get a divorce. Anna's tone of voice was so different from her previous ones that even Mary seemed to be taken aback. That again? What about you, Judy? She asks me this since Anna said no, and I answer back to her. So, what you're saying is that you want us daughter-in-laws to live with you because you want us to take care of you, is that right? Well, that's one thing, but I'm also lonely now, and I'd rather live with either Phil or Jack. Since both Anna and I kept on saying no to her request, Mary seemed to be getting more and more irritated. Are you really saying that you both can't obey to your own mother-in-law's request? Well, this is an order. I'm going to live with my son, so you have to live with me. Then, Anna and I both looked at each other and nodded. I will not. How about this person instead? I then spread out some photos on the table. That's... Phil and Jack began to panic. because those photos were evidence that both Phil and Jack were having an affair. The photos were of them entering a hotel with a woman, kissing in the park, and so on. You two were both cheating on us. You two are really close brothers, huh? And I heard that Mary also knew about this? Even though Mary knew about it, she was helping you two create alibis. How could she be so shameless as to ask us to live with her and take care of her while doing such a despicable thing? Anna was also nodding her head beside me. If you want somebody to take care of you, Mary, then ask these women in the photos. We are both getting divorced, so I will not live or take care of you. You're causing so much troubles here, Mary panicked. Troubles? Well, we don't feel like we're in trouble at all. Right, Anna? Anna smiled.
Hey, Anna! If you divorce me then, you'll be the one who's in trouble. There's no way a housewife can make it all on her own.
Phil started to yell. He might want to start imitating the sea lion again like he did a month ago, but we will not let him do that anymore.
Divorce is just a threat.
Anna then replied with a smile on her face. Oh, I'm not the one in trouble, you know. Because I'm planning to get alimony from you.
What?
I'm also going to charge the woman you cheated on me with for alimony, and I think it will at least cover the cost of renting a small apartment and getting my life back on track. I'll have to work hard to find a job, but I also still plan to do everything I can to make it on my own. Oh, Anna, don't worry. I'll support and help you out. Anna and I both decided to cooperate and help each other get through this crappy situation. With my personal savings, we can manage to make a living for the time being. If Anna gets alimony from Phil and his partner, she will pay it back to me with a small amount of interest. And for this to work, we must do whatever it takes to get money from them. Oh, Jack, it's pretty obvious that I'll be asking for alimony from you too. And also from the woman you cheated on me with. Even though I'm working, there's never enough money for a 40-year-old divorcee. When I said this to Jack, he looked at me in despair.
I'm sorry. It was just a desire. And it was just for fun. It wasn't anything serious.
Serious or not, cheating is cheating. We have already consulted this to our lawyer, so you can make excuses all you want to our lawyer. I gave Jack and Phil the business card of our lawyer's office. The lawyer represented both Anna and I. We signed up for 2 lawyers at the same time and got a small discount for a lawyer to be on both our cases. This was a very good deal for both Anna and I. It's also known as a clever housewife's trick.
Hey, wait a minute. Let's talk about this. Just not divorce, please. I'll apologize. I'm sorry.
Jack and Phil both got down on their knees and apologized on the spot, but Mary was just upset and started to scream. Well, if you both want a divorce, why don't you do it then? I'm not going to put up with you both who can't be patient enough about your own husband's 1 or 2 affairs. Anna then began to laugh. Before I knew it, Anna looked completely confident. After all, a woman gets stronger at the final moment. Mary, you can tolerate very well with affairs, huh? Is it because you know what it's like to have an affair? Hearing this, Mary was so shocked that she flinched. What are you talking about so suddenly? I heard that you had an affair too. I heard it from one of your neighbors. You had a fling with a part-time worker at Jack's swim club. What the hell is going on with your family DNA? Compared to you all, father-in-law was so serious. Who the hell told you that? Well, I wonder who could it be? Why don't you ask around if you're curious? Well then, we're going back to pack our bags, so we'll be going now. Anna and I stood up at the same time. And then I said this with a huge smile on my face. please just enjoy and continue on imitating the sea lion you did previously. After that, Anna and I went back to our own houses and left with the luggage we had packed in advance. We had already signed a contract for an apartment, so we would meet there. Jack called me and Phil called Anna several times, but we ignored all of them and left everything to our lawyer. After a while, both our divorce got settled and we finally got our alimony. Mary's intention to have her daughter-in-laws take care of her stopped since then, and she started to rely on her 2 sons. And now, it seems that there's a dispute between Phil and Jack about who was going to take care of her.
Please come home. I'm really sorry. Let's start over again. I'll wait for you forever at that restaurant where we used to go for our dates.
Phil and Jack kept on sending us messages to get back together again. We would mock about Phil and Jack at night after work over a light drink while reading their stupid messages. Hey, Anna, where is that restaurant which Phil mentioned? Oh, I don't really know what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure the restaurant where we used to go on dates is gone now, so I have no clue what he's talking about. Anna and I lived together for a little while, but when Anna got a job, she moved out of the apartment. She and I are now best friends who ran away from that horrible family together. We would like to continue to support and cooperate with each other. I'm now leading a very laid-back life, drinking coffee while petting my cat.
You're a really bad wife.
You're always too dull. Troy and Catherine, my husband and my sister-in-law, are always verbally abusing me. Get out and leave this house, you worthless wife who doesn't even do her household chores. Jennifer, my mother-in-law, said this and randomly grabbed salt and spilled it all over me. Because of this, my whole clothes were covered with salt, and some of it went in my mouth, which was very salty. Here you go. Here's the divorce papers. It seems like Jennifer and Catherine has prepared the divorce paper in advance. I took the divorce papers, filled in my name, and packed up my things. Well, this is it. Y'all should be thanking me for taking care of you all. My name is Cynthia. I am a 30-years-old office worker. I have been married to Troy for 2 years now. We met at a blind date, and when we met, Troy was an employee working for a small company. At the blind date, Troy was the one who was interested in me and made his moves on me. Since he seemed to be sincere, worked diligently at his company, and even though he was 2 years younger than me, I was able to picture a stable life with him. Because I was able to picture the future life with him, I decided to go on dates with him to get to know him better. He was very kind and was such a gentleman. He always took me out on dates, which made me become more and more attracted to him. Not only we started dating, we became in a serious relationship and we decided to get married. Even after we got married, we both worked. We shared the household chores and lived happily with balancing our work life and life at home. And even after being married to Troy for 2 years, our happiness hasn't changed. But then one day, Troy suddenly just quit his job. Why did you quit your workplace so suddenly?
Because I realized that I am not an office worker material.
With that kind of reason?
What do you mean with that kind of reason? Cynthia, I thought you were on my side all the time.
What? No, that's not what I meant. Of course, honey, I'm always on your side, but I just wanted you to discuss these kind of matters to me before you make any decisions.
Oh, my bad. But I just wanted to quit right away.
Troy said this as he was scratching his head. I was very much surprised because I had no idea that my husband hated his job this much to quit right away so suddenly. For now, it's okay with Troy quitting his job because I make a good amount of money from my work. But I would like him to find his next job as soon as possible. But then, 2 weeks later, my husband made a surprising statement.
Hey, Cynthia, I'm going to start a boba tea place.
What? Are you being serious right now, Troy?
The boba tea price cost is cheap, and I can do it with a small tenant.
Oh no. Troy, have you ever worked in a food service industry before, like a cafe or restaurant or even a cafeteria?
No, I never experienced food service industry.
Then, I don't think you opening a boba tea place is a good idea because I don't think you will be successful and won't make any profits.
Why are you saying such thing? Don't make any assumptions before I even try.
Well, I can understand you wanting to have your own cafe or restaurant or boba tea place if you ever had an experience working in the food service industry before. But opening a boba tea place out of the blue doesn't sound like such a good idea.
I don't care what you say, Cynthia. I will be opening my boba tea place. I don't like the idea of working for someone else, so I'll be the boss of my own boba tea place.
My husband, without listening to me, proceeded to prepare opening the boba tea place on his own. I told Troy that I would not cooperate in any way of him doing the boba tea place, and that he should do it on his own. But to my surprise, he decided on the design and concept of the boba tea place, and prepared to open the boba tea place on his own. As I watched Troy's boba tea place taking shape, I decided that if he was doing so well, I would see how the place goes. Then, my husband really opened a boba tea place all on his own. The boba tea place has a nice atmosphere and the location is not that bad. For a moment, I thought Troy's boba tea place could really be a thriving business. However, in reality, the idea of having a boba tea place is not that easy. The trend of drinking boba tea compared to before was gone. The few customers who came to buy Troy's boba tea drinks were the core fans who liked boba tea, regardless of the trend, but then again, that's only a few. Moreover, my husband, who was not experienced in restaurant or a cafe, was very slow at making his boba tea drinks. So, by the time Troy serves his boba tea to his customers, since he takes time, the ice in the drink will melt, which makes his boba tea taste very watery. Because of that, Troy has no regular customers who would come to drink his boba teas again, has no buzz, and has no profit at all. Well, it is said in the food service industry that one should be prepared to make zero profit for the first year, so maybe this was inevitable. But, even so, it was obvious that Troy's boba tea place would go out of business if it continued like this. So, I advised my husband that he should give up early and close his boba tea place. Then, my husband says,
I just started this boba tea place, so there's no way I am going to quit anytime soon,
in an angry manner.
Why would you say such a thing to demotivate me, Cynthia?
He said this to me in an accusing manner. When Troy is in this mood, he would not change his mind, and he would just verbally abuse me, but I couldn't cave into his idea. If we don't do something, we'll not only lose more and more money, but our debt will also increase. By now, don't you realize it's reckless to open a boba tea place without any plan? I think you worked enough at your boba tea place to learn that lesson. If you want to succeed in the food service industry, why don't you first get a little more experience in a restaurant or in a cafe before having your own place? I tried my best to convince him and make him understand my point of view, but he would not even listen to me and understand where I am coming from. I thought I had to do something or anything to bring him back to his senses, but then he made another startling comment the next day.
Let's live with my mom.
What? Why are you saying this?
Because if we move into my parents' house, the rent will be free. Then there will be no problem even if my income is small. Besides, Mom has been on her own for years since Dad passed away. I'm thinking of moving in with her as a way to take care of her."
By saying this, Troy was trying to persuade me into living with his mother. But to be honest, I was not very keen on the idea of moving in with Jennifer, my mother-in-law, because Jennifer was very cold and mean to me. I had been to Jennifer's house for the holidays, such as Thanksgiving and Christmas, but every time I visit her, she only behaves as if she hates me. Well, I have never been severely mistreated as a Troy's wife, but I knew that it would be a lot of trouble if I started living with Jennifer. However, Troy showed no signs of caving into the idea of not living with Jennifer. Besides, if my husband really decides on continuing to run his boba tea place, since he won't be making any income soon, we won't be able to afford our living expenses sooner or later. Thinking money-wise, it would not be a bad idea to live with Jennifer. When I compared the pros and cons of this situation, I thought there were more pros than cons, so I caved in and agreed to Troy to live with Jennifer for now. And so life of living with Jennifer began. I was immediately faced with Jennifer's bullying. "Cynthia, don't just stand there and do nothing. Get on with the cleaning, laundry, and cooking. You are such a slowpoke. You're the wife of the owner of a boba tea place, so you better get your act together." Jennifer's angry voice suddenly echoed through the house. I didn't think I would get yelled at from the very first day of living together. I was already feeling not good about this situation and had only bad feelings about living with Jennifer. Troy was just looking unconcerned and oblivious about this situation, even though it was very obvious that I was in trouble and needed help and support from him. And there was one more person who was mean and annoyed me at Jennifer's house. It was Catherine, my sister-in-law. After I moved into Jennifer's house, I found out that Catherine got divorced from her husband and started to live with Jennifer with her child, Elizabeth. Therefore, we were not only living with Jennifer, but also with Catherine and Elizabeth. "Cynthia, why is there no ice cream in the fridge?" That's because your daughter ate 2 yesterday, didn't she?" "What? I'm not asking you that. Get the hint. I'm saying that you should go get more ice cream when you know that there isn't any left in the fridge. You're a really inconsiderate wife." Catherine and Jennifer both complained and picked on me about anything they could find to do so. My husband is the same as ever, ignoring Catherine picking on me and being mean to me. Troy had no say in it and just seemed unconcerned. He should be worried and should take care of me because it was his idea to live with Jennifer. So I would glare at him coldly. But my husband was relaxing on the couch, paying attention to his phone, and paying no attention to me. Within a few days of moving in together, my frustration was already near my limit. And I learned later that Jennifer's house had a 35-year mortgage, and Jennifer still had loan payments to make. Yet, Jennifer nor Catherine does not work at all. They are currently paying their loans and mortgage from my father-in-law's inheritance and pension, who had passed away a few years ago. If Jennifer was living alone, she could manage to pay the loan. But now, since that Catherine and Elizabeth is living with her, paying off her payments have become much more difficult for Jennifer. Therefore, Jennifer said, "If you are going to be living with me, you should put some money in the house," to me. I agreed to Troy about moving into Jennifer's house because he said there would be no rent. But since we have to pay the rent, I feel pointless to live with Jennifer. Furthermore, Jennifer demanded, "I want you to pay for our living expenses as well, so you have to put in about $2,000 per month." In the end, I had to pay Jennifer $2,000 per month from my salary. But there was a reason why I was paying Jennifer without any complaints. it was because my husband told me.
I have a feeling that sales are about to increase soon.
According to my husband, the number of customers are increasing at his shop. I thought that once his boba tea place gets on track, we would be able to make a stable living. So I decided to be more patient until then. So, for the upcoming 3 months, I was very patient. In the meantime, Jennifer and Catherine continued picking on me and being mean to me. Since I was about to reach my limit, I decided to sneak out and visit my husband's boba tea place unannounced. But, to my surprise, there were no customers there. I watched his boba tea place from a distance for a while, but there was no sign of any customers at all. Maybe my husband was lying. That thought crossed my mind. At the same time, at my workplace, I succeeded on my project and was getting a promotion. After getting my promotion, I was put in charge of a joint project with a new company. Since it's a new project with a different new company and I was in charge of this project, I had a lot to do for my work. Working overtime became normal, and there were times when I had to come in very early for work. This meant that I had less and less time to do household chores. If possible, I wanted Jennifer and Catherine, who are always at home, to do the household chores, but they stubbornly refused. Household chores are for the wife's job. By saying that, both Jennifer and Catherine refused to do any of the household chores and just left it to me to do them. So, when I couldn't do household chores for a while because of the new project I was in charge of, the laundry piled up, the room was covered with dust, and it became a real mess. Moreover, I have to also prepare dinner for them, and on days when I have to work late, Jennifer, Catherine, and Troy would have expensive food delivered to home for them to enjoy and leave nothing for me to eat. And even though I am unable to do household chores because of my work, Jennifer and Catherine just blames me for it. Recently, not only Jennifer and Catherine, but even my husband blames me.
You're a really bad wife.
You're always too dull. My husband and my sister-in-law are always verbally abusing me. Get out and leave this house, you worthless wife who doesn't even do her household chores. Then Jennifer said this and randomly grabbed salt and spilled it all over me. Because of this, my whole clothes were covered with salt, and some of it went in my mouth, which was very salty. This is way out of hand, and this situation is too horrible. I have tried my best to do the housework in my own way, and I have contributed in many other ways, such as putting in money for living expenses. And yet, I get such treatment like this. You're the one who feeds off from Troy's earnings, and doing nothing but being so arrogant. What? Yeah, that's right. I really don't know what you're doing not doing household chores when you're only earning such a small amount like an allowance from your job. You're probably saying that you are working overtime to cover up the affair you are having behind Troy's back, aren't you? Huh?
What? Cynthia, you are having an affair while I'm working hard to run my boba tea store? I should get alimony for this.
My in-laws continued the conversation with premise of me having an affair with another man behind Troy's back. Then, Jennifer took out some papers from a drawer and handed it to me. Here you go. Here are the divorce papers. When I saw the papers, I saw Troy's handwriting and his signature. It seemed like Troy, Jennifer, and Catherine has prepared the divorce paper in advance. I couldn't take it anymore. Why am I the one who is working the hardest, being pushed around so much? I am getting the hell out of this house. I took the divorce papers, filled in my name, and packed up my belongings. As I walked to the front door with my belongings, my in-laws saw me off with grins on their faces. Now, what a relief! We finally got rid of the trouble of this house.
You deserve to live a lonely life on your own.
How could they be so horrible? I regret the fact that I worked so hard to make the livings for these people. I didn't want to leave without saying anything back to them. I said to my in-laws in such a mean tone, well, this is it. You all should be thanking me for taking care of you all. I know you guys are the ones who will be in trouble when I'm gone. I wish you all the best." When I said this, the in-laws looked at me with wide eyes and made a fuss, but I ignored them and just left their house. I then immediately submitted the divorce papers, rented an apartment for a single person, and began to live a comfortable life on my own. Why didn't I do this earlier? I should have left that house right away. Regretting my slow decision, I still lived a peaceful and tranquil life from then on. Incidentally, for some reason, Jennifer, who was now my ex-mother-in-law, kept calling me a lot after I left the house. Either she hadn't abused me enough yet, or she had found out the truth about her husband's earnings. I never bothered to find out why. I decided not to answer Jennifer's phone calls, thinking that if I continued to deal with her, I would probably only get into trouble. I went on with my life, and a year had passed in the blink of an eye. Then I received a call from an unknown number. At first, I thought it would be best not to answer, but then I thought it might be a call from a business partner or a business-related call. With that thought in my mind, I hurried to answer the phone. Then, to my surprise, it was my ex-mother-in-law's voice coming through the phone. "Ah, Cynthia, finally you picked up the phone. You blocked my previous number, didn't you?" Of course I would block her number if I had been getting so many unwanted calls from her. "What do you want?" I was too tired to deal with every single comment she makes, so I decided to let her get to the point quickly. "Oh, okay. I'll just say it plain and simple. I'm going to be direct without getting into too much detail. I want you to come back to us." "What? What are you talking about?" "Please, we are really in deep trouble. Troy told me later that his boba tea store had hardly made any profit after a year, and that he had been paying the store rent out of his share of the estate. That's when I first found out and learned that Cynthia, you had been putting money into our house and helping out our living expenses. I'm glad you finally realized this. I wish you had told me this from the beginning." Are you sure you should be talking like that to me right now? I'm the only one who you can rely on now, aren't I? I'm sorry. I take that back. I am begging you. I won't be mean to you anymore. So please come back to our home and to our family." Even over the phone, I could tell that Jennifer was very serious about her request. It is certainly impossible for Jennifer to have 2 big kids at her house jobless while paying a 35-year mortgage all on her own. But then, Jennifer has been mean to me too much for me to be nice to her. I'm sorry, but I will never forgive you. There is no way we will ever get back together. If you can't pay the mortgage, why don't you sell the house? Well, Troy has been running a deficit for a long time anyway, so his debts are likely to be substantial. If you add all of those debts together, it wouldn't be enough to just sell your house, though. That's not why I'm asking you to do this. Troy's boba tea store went out of business 3 months ago. Oh, really? I knew it. I knew that he would go out of business. But it's none of my business anymore. I'm divorced, and you said it yourself. I'm worthless to you. Oh, I said that because that was just an emotional outburst. I don't care anymore. Anyway, I am already a stranger to you. You're on your own now. With that, I hung up the phone. Later on, a mutual friend of mine and Troy told me about what happened to Troy and his family, my ex-in-laws. Troy and his family could not pay the mortgage on the house and eventually sold the house. But because it was sold for a surprisingly low price, they were still burdened with a large amount of debt. In addition to that, since Troy's boba tea store had been losing so much money and was in a heavy debt, all the ex-in-laws are now working part-time jobs to pay off all of their debts. Meanwhile, I have been promoted at work and my salary has increased. Now I spend money only for myself and live a peaceful and happy life. From the beginning, Troy was such a crazy husband, wasn't he? And to that, his sister Catherine and his mother Jennifer are the worst human beings. I think Cynthia did well to endure living with such a crazy family. I'm very glad that Troy destroyed his boba tea store in no time. As Cynthia advised him, Troy should know better that he should have first had some experience in the food service industry before having his own business. Anyways, I am very relieved because Troy is experiencing now. I hope that Cynthia will continue to live a happy, peaceful life on her own. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. See you in the next video. My name is Madison. I am a housewife who is married for 12 years now. My husband, Kevin, whom I met at a party, is 8 years older than me. My first impression of him at our first meeting was that he seemed serious. After first few dates, Kevin said in a serious tone,
I want you to go out with me with definitely a marriage in our future.
I continued our relationship with the intention of doing so. His serious and sincere personality was just as I had expected. When he proposed, he said,
I've lived alone for a long time. I can take care of myself, so I just need your smile in my life.
Hearing his proposal, I felt that I want to spend the rest of my life smiling with him. With this in mind, I said yes to his proposal. And, at my husband's request, I quit my job and became a full-time housewife. And so, our newlywed life began with full of happiness. However, after being married to Kevin, things happened one after another that I could not stop smiling about. The first was when I visited my parents-in-law's house to greet and meet. My father-in-law had already passed away, and my mother-in-law, Claire, who lived alone, said to me, I feel relieved now. Even if I need nursing care, I'll be fine now. To that, Kevin said,
Since you only have sons, you were worried, but now we have a female in our family, so Mom, you should take it easy. You should be thanking me for bringing my wife into the family.
Kevin has a younger brother named Harry. Harry was still single and living far away. Huh? Am I a caregiver? I felt a little disappointed in their conversation, but then I laughed it off, thinking it was how they joke around at Kevin's family. Kevin was a teacher, working from early in the morning until late at night, and also advising club activities on the weekends, so he was often away from home on weekends. At my husband's request, I quit my job when we got married and became a full-time housewife. I thought that supporting my husband, who worked hard at his job, was what made me happy. Looking back at this situation and thinking about it, I was young. Eventually, I became pregnant with our first child, William. It should have been a joyous occasion, but my husband didn't like the fact that in the early stages of pregnancy, I was constantly lying down. In a very cynical voice, he said,
It's nice to sleep as much as you want every day, huh? There's still laundry to do. You'd better get it done.
I am not sleeping in because I want to. I am pregnant, so that is why I am sleepy and sleeping. So why do I have to listen to your sarcastic comments about it? Besides, I thought you said you can take care of yourself and can do your own laundry.
What did you say? You're sitting at home while I'm out working, and now you want me to do the laundry?
You said you could do it on your own when you proposed to me. You liar! We would get into such fights that I would run away from home, but Kevin did not bother to chase me or stop me from leaving the house. Also, Claire, my mother-in-law, was troubling me. When I planned to go on a trip with my own parents while I still can before giving birth, Claire said, Take care and have fun." When she said this, she was smiling, but as soon as she found out that the destination where we were going was a luxury hotel, which Claire wanted to go, she asked me, "Why don't you prioritize Kevin and I for this kind of trip? In fact, why didn't you take me? You have no common sense at all, do you?" Over a letter where she wrote 5 pages of it, fully written. When I talked to my husband about it, he said, "It's your fault for neglecting my mother. I'm taking care of your living expenses and I am supporting you, so you should have the common sense to give the priority to my parents." What is he saying? Besides, this trip was planned by my parents for our family from the very beginning, so I wrote back to Claire about it. Because of this incident, this led to both Kevin and his mother becoming more and more mean to me. And when my stomach was getting bigger, I worked on the farm and wiped the floors with rags until the due date, because being pregnant is not being sick in bed. Don't spoil her just because she is in the last month of pregnancy. My husband, who took Claire's side, told me, "You deserve this because you were slacking off from your household chores. Just because you got married to me doesn't mean that you can be slacking off and doing nothing." When I was resting because my back hurted due to being pregnant. As he said this, Kevin made me crawl on all 4s on the floor of the house and sweep the floor with rags. Moreover, Kevin did not help me prepare for our child's birth at all. When my husband was relaxing at home on his occasional day off and asked him if I could go shopping for supplies, he told me, "You have free time, so go on a weekday when you are free. Why should I go on my day off with you when it's crowded on the weekends? Don't try to make it only easy on yourself when you are using my money up." He said this to me while he was focused on his phone playing games. What the hell is he saying, and what does he think about being pregnant and having a baby is about? I just wanted to grab his phone and just wanted to smash it and trash it, but I kept myself calm. Ever since we got married, Kevin was not kind to me anymore as he was before our marriage, but I kept calm because I thought Kevin would change back to being kind to me when he sees his first child born. At that time, I still believe that will happen. Then our first child, William, was born. When I was in the hospital and the contractions were not getting stronger, Kevin asked, "He is taking too much time to come out. What the heck?" Then I didn't have to take a day off from my work for this. "You should consider more about my work-life schedule," he mumbled sarcastically. Wow, at times like this, Kevin is still mean and say such horrible things. But then, since I was more concentrated on having the baby, I just ignored my husband. As the contractions gradually intensified and I was in so much pain and suffering, Kevin started eating garlic bread right next to me without any care to me. As soon as he finished his garlic bread, he became sleepy and started taking a nap. And to that, the nurse and I was just astonished at him and couldn't say anything about it. Anyways, Kevin was there to witness the birth of William, and he even got to experience cutting the umbilical cord. Kevin became teary-eyed as he held William in his arms, and when I saw this, I forgot about how mean and horrible Kevin was and just felt happy and peaceful. But that was just for a moment, because after that, Kevin immediately left the hospital to go to work. I thought to myself that he couldn't even take a day off for this. But then at night, he sent me a text over WhatsApp which said, "I told my class that our baby was born." He said that he had told his class every detail of the experience of me being in labor to delivery. I thought to myself, if Kevin ever has a surgery, I'll record the whole thing and spread it around. Since I was embarrassed by Kevin telling our sacred labor to his class, the thought crossed my mind for a moment. A few days later, Claire came to visit me with Kevin at the hospital, and she said something that was unforgettable to me. "Congratulations! This baby is... who does he look like? Of course, William looks like Kevin when he was a baby. You think so? Then there is no doubt about it, right? Huh? What does she mean about no doubt about it? I couldn't take it as anything other than there's no doubt that William is my husband's child. I thought, was it a mistake for my mother-in-law to have been born into this world? I was about to say what I thought just now, but I kept it in and just laughed it off without smiling. After Claire left, I asked my husband, what does she mean by that? But Kevin just brushed it off, saying he didn't hear our conversation. Kevin said,
I don't think she meant it that way. Don't blame others for everything.
Kevin took Claire's side, but I could not easily forgive Claire for this no doubt about it comment. After being discharged from the hospital, I went back to my own parents' house. My parents' house was only a 20-minute drive from Kevin and I's house, but Kevin only came to visit once every 3 to 4 days. Every time he visits and sees William, Kevin just said,
"Oh, he is just sleeping,"
and then just eats a lot of my mother's cooking and leaves without saying a word. My parents were also bothered by my husband's almost total lack of interest in William. They were concerned about Kevin, but since I just gave a birth to a child, my parents didn't say anything about how they felt about Kevin at that time. Then, on the day I was going back to home where Kevin was waiting, I asked Kevin, "Please, can you come pick me up?" And to this, Kevin responded,
"I am not your servant. You either come back home by yourself or ask your parents to take you home."
I was so mad about how he responded that I called him several times and texted him several messages, and after 2 hours, he finally came to pick me up.
"If you are ready, let's just go. I'm too busy." "You really can't do anything on your own," Kevin mumbled. He was in a foul mood the whole time when I was packing my belongings, getting ready to leave, and we returned home as if he was rushing and taking me away from my parents. I was so sad and disappointed that I had to leave my parents' place without even having a chance to thank my parents, and I really felt bad about it. To think about it, I probably should have given up on my husband at this point and leave him. However, at that time, I thought that Kevin would change if he lived with our beautiful child, but then I guess I was being too optimistic about the situation. As soon as I returned home, Kevin said to me, "You're a mother now. There are mothers out there who can take care of themselves on their own, which you should be doing. Not talking about what you can't do, but find a way to do things on your own. Are you a child? Even my students are better than you. I'm out there being busy taking care of my students at school, so don't make me take care of you and William at home also."
He said this as he was irritated.
"And, by the way, all your cookings are bad. Mom's meal is the best, so why don't you learn from her? It's your job as a wife to take care and make your husband eat good food. Don't use pregnancy and William as an excuse to not do wife's jobs. You should take care of me better. Since you're not being helpful, this is interfering with my work. I think having a housekeeper is better than having you as a wife. You're really useless."
Kevin is the one who is using William as an excuse and not me. In back of my mind, I thought Kevin should be cooking for his own and throw a pot to his head for his nonsense, but then I calmed myself down. Maybe it is pointless to say anything to Kevin anymore. At every time, Kevin would say things like,
"I work outside the home,"
or
"This should be done by the wife because it's wife's job."
I tried not to say anything unnecessary. When I don't talk back and keep it to myself, then Kevin, for some reason, would start taking care of William even though it is a wife's job to take care of William. But he only plays with William when William is in a good mood, and Kevin never does anything that requires his hands, such as changing diapers, changing William's clothes, or brushing William's teeth. And when William cries at night, he just yells,
"Make him shut up! I have an early morning tomorrow."
Yet, outside the home, Kevin pretends to be the father who takes care of William a lot more than I do. Who does he think he is? He's a teacher, but he doesn't seem to know what taking care of a child means. Maybe it is best for me to get a divorce from Kevin. I thought that, but then, at the same time, I thought that it is my job to protect and raise William as a wife. Besides, my husband used to be a kind man. Maybe if his busy period is over, maybe Kevin will calm down and maybe change. No, I am going to change Kevin, and I can. And these thoughts made me continue my married life with Kevin. A few years later, William grew up well and entered kindergarten. I took this opportunity to start working part-time at a local supermarket. Of course, Kevin was against of me doing a part-time job at the local supermarket.
You won't be able to balance the household chores and your part-time job in raising William. There is no way you can handle a job outside the house.
To his comments, I was so mad, and I answered, "I promise that I will quit immediately if you think I can't balance all of my jobs and shouldn't keep my part-time job. If I can balance and is capable to do all the jobs completely fine, then there should be no complaints from me, okay?" Why would he say such thing when I used to do work outside the house before? Also, I had a higher salary than Kevin when I was working at the office previously. I didn't say this to him, but I promised myself that I will do whatever it takes to keep my part-time job. Years passed, and it was time for my son William to start first grade.
It's my first day of the class also, so I can't be there for William's first day.
But you said the same thing when William entered kindergarten. You have never been to any of William's school events. You said when William starts his first day at his first grade, you will be there. Don't you remember? William's first grade ceremony was in the morning, and Kevin's school ceremony was in the afternoon. I asked Kevin if there is anything he can do to make it to William's first day, but then he didn't bother trying to do anything about it, so to that, I was at the end of my patience, and said, "I've put up with you all this time, but don't you love William?"
I told you that I am very busy.
Kevin, I work too now.
You are just a part-time worker.
After our argument, I asked him to write me a promise letter because he really couldn't attend William's first day as a first grader. The promise letter included,
I will actively participate in school events from now on, and I won't complain if you divorce me if I don't participate.
After that argument, Kevin started showing up at William's school events as much as possible. But only in the morning of William's first practice match, or only for the first song of William's music concert. Even though Kevin participated only just a little part of the events and not the whole, since before Kevin never came to any of the events, people around me said, "Your husband finally came." Even though he is busy, he made it. What a great husband. When I told Kevin about what other students' parents said about him, Kevin replied,
See, I'm actually a good husband who takes really good care of William. Everyone knows it.
And then just get arrogant about it. Kevin was only just good at appealing that he was a good father taking care of William when he wasn't doing anything. He also praised himself for being such a good father to William and smirks about it, which makes me annoyed. And whether it was the stress of work or something I have no idea about, Kevin's alcohol consumption gradually increased. When he returns from home, Kevin gets drunk and snores loudly on the living room couch every day. He doesn't take care of William, nor ask me on how William is doing at school or anything. Kevin has forgotten the promise he made me anymore, and he doesn't come and attend any of William's school events, or even graduation or first days of school. It was not uncommon for Kevin to be so drunk at night that Even if I had told him something important, he would not remember it the next morning, or would not even remember hearing it in the first place. I began to wonder what is the point of living with Kevin anymore, so I started to say things I shouldn't have said when looking back to it. Why don't you participate a little more in household chores and being a good father to William?
You. Who do you think you are, earning and working as only part-time job? You can start giving advices and say your opinion to me when you start making money as much as I do. Are you kidding me?
He growled at me in a manner I had never seen before. I thought that even if he was very tired, I should not have been told like this just because I asked my husband to be a father to William and asked for support for household chores. Kevin is able to make the money he is making right now because thanks to me, I do all the household chores. I clearly felt something snapping inside me. This is it. It's over. I started preparing for divorce without my husband noticing. I had no intention of giving up William to Kevin because I didn't want William to go through such a burden living with Kevin. So, I did several part-time jobs, and in my spare time or at night, I would work at home to make more money just to not put William through the hardships with Kevin. To be honest, I became very dizzy and tired, but I had no time to spare to prepare for the divorce. I continued to take care of the house as usual, even though I had several jobs now for Kevin not to notice. But I stopped ironing my husband's shirts. I don't care if he wore a crumpled shirt. At that time, Claire became ill and required nursing care. Kevin and his younger brother were discussing what to do for Claire and her future. As I listened and heard their discussion, Kevin said,
I'm going to have you live at my mom's place and take care of her because she's your mother now too.
He said this in a serious voice. What? Why? I have a job too. No way, I don't want to.
What do you mean you don't want to? It is your job to do so. In fact, I'm just surprised you haven't said anything about this situation or offered to take care of your mother. Aren't you aware that she's your mother too? Besides, part-time jobs aren't real jobs.
Wait a minute. We're not living in an era that just because I'm a wife, I should be staying at home taking care of only household chores and family.
You don't want to take care of my mother? You have been living off from my earnings and not taking responsibility of being the wife?
Don't call it a wife's responsibility for your own convenience. If you want to talk about responsibilities, then don't force me to take care of your mother without my permission. I had enough of this. You have crossed my line. I took out what I have been preparing for a very long time now. Here, the divorce papers. I'm quitting as your wife, so write your name here. My husband seemed surprised to see the filled out divorce papers, but he grinned and signed them, saying,
I'll take our son anyway.
I submitted the divorce papers immediately and left the house with my son. I then immediately contacted my lawyer. I asked my lawyer to contact my husband with the details I had already prepared in advance. Then to this, I got a response from Kevin. He said he wanted to meet with me and talk about it, but I already knew that Kevin would say such thing. I guess my husband thought that I would be the one who would cry and go back to him if we're getting divorced, but that is not the case. I refused all contact and meetings with Kevin and proceeded for a divorce settlement. I had been preparing for this moment for a very long time now. I used all of my savings and canceled my insurance to pay off my mortgage. Because of this, I had almost no savings. I was very lucky that Kevin only worked and left all the household finances to me. In addition to this, thanks to the promise that Kevin wrote and signed himself,
if I don't participate in school events, Madison can get a divorce.
Kevin couldn't really reject the divorce. Kevin sent me a text message saying,
Screw you! I will forgive all the things you did right now and of being a bad wife in the past, so just come back home with William.
But I texted back saying, you should be the one apologizing, you idiot, and just blocked him. In the end, I got the house in the form of property division and alimony for the moral harassment Kevin had caused, and he had to go back to his mother's house to live with Claire. He was about to force me to take care of Claire, but now Kevin has to do it on his own now. Since Kevin wasn't used to doing the household chores or be the caregiver, Kevin had to take leave from his job, and his career, which he was very proud of, was cut short. My ex-brother-in-law, Harry, who apparently planned to force me into taking care of Claire and planned only to come and check on Claire from time to time, is not only penniless, but didn't get near Kevin, who is frustrated by the unfamiliar household chores and taking care of Claire, nor returned any of Kevin's calls. I think Harry plans to leave everything to Kevin. Besides, Kevin conveniently became single, and he is the perfect caregiver to Claire. By the way, I have the full custody of William. My ex-husband must have been disappointed about this because he had no doubt that William would choose him over me because Kevin is the one who earned more money than me. Dad hasn't played with me since I was little, and I don't want to be with him. This was what William had said to me. My son told me that he would work when he got out of high school to help me. But actually, even though my part-time job was at a local supermarket, I quit the place after about a year and was able to go back to my old job where I worked before the marriage. And next month, I will be hired again as a full-time employee, and my different job, which I was working at home, was going well. In fact, I now make more money than my ex-husband. Kevin is paying the child support, so now I can let my child go down any path he decides to without any worries about his future.
It was all thanks to you that I was able to work hard and concentrate on my job. I am sorry for what I did, and I hope we can start over.
I received this letter from my ex-husband through his lawyer. But it's too late now, isn't it? I temporarily unblocked my ex-husband on WhatsApp and sent a message to him. Thank you for your letter. Your feelings were very well expressed. Then Kevin responded quickly.
So, you're coming back? Thank you, I can't wait.
Then to his response I responded, this is my final answer. Good luck taking care of Claire all on your own, and I will never see you again. With that message, I also sent him video of me burning his letter and blocked Kevin's number again. I hope that through taking care of Claire, Kevin will understand all of my struggles that I went through while I was married to him and live with the remorse for the rest of his life. But maybe a man like Kevin, he may never understand because he is that kind of a guy.
Samantha, you are such a great wife. I am just lucky to be with you.
My husband, Henry, who used to say such nice things, would now say,
you are no good because you are just a high school graduate. You are not a good human being.
Henry would only say mean and nasty things to me now. When did our marriage, which was supposed to be very happy and peaceful, start to fall apart? I still don't know what went wrong and how it got wrong. My name is Samantha. I have been married for 3 years, and I am a stay-at-home wife and a mother to our daughter. My father has passed away when I was young, so my mother worked very hard to raise me single-handedly. Perhaps it was because she pushed herself to work hard. My mother tended to get sick when I started my middle school. I think Mom was very relieved to see me graduate from high school, that after my graduation, she quickly became ill and passed away. I have no grandparents also, but the company's CEO, Alex, and his wife, Isabel, where I started working after I graduated from high school until I got married, took care of me well and acted as my parents, so I was not lonely at all. I met my husband, Henry, through a friend from my high school. My friend invited me to go to a blind date party, which I thought was a world I had no connection to, but I went and met my husband there. My friends saw that my husband, who had never shown much interest in women before, was taking good care of me and showing a lot of interest in me, so the friends encouraged me to go out with him. We started dating in a light-hearted way, but I was surprised when I found out that it was actually the first time for my husband as well as me to date someone. I was very surprised that I was the first one he ever dated because he has such a great smile with a wonderful personality and looked very handsome and seemed very popular with the ladies at the party. I had never met such a nice guy in my classmates or at work, so I was overjoyed when he asked me to be his girlfriend. He was really cool and kind, and I was so proud of dating him, and all of my friends envied me about it. About a year into our relationship, my mother's condition worsened, and she passed away even after doctors treated her in the hospital. My parents had eloped, and I had no relatives to go out with, so I was all alone. Henry supported me when I felt all alone in the world, so it didn't take much time for me to think I can't live a life without Henry. On the other hand, for Henry too, he felt,
I have to support Samantha. I'm the only one Samantha has, so I should protect and take care of her.
Henry told me that that's all he could ever think of at that time. If Henry had not been there for me then, I don't know what I would be doing now. I can only thank my husband for supporting me then and now and taking care of me very well. About a year after my mother passed away, I found out I was pregnant. When I told Henry that I was pregnant, he was overjoyed and said,
Really? There is really our baby inside of you? Thank you. Samantha, thank you. I thought it was too early because it's been so short since your mother passed away, but let's get married, Samantha. Please, let me be your family, Samantha.
He proposed to me with such kind words. Of course, I said yes and hugged him as he hugged me back. Because I couldn't imagine my life with anyone other than Henry. Besides, I felt that I got pregnant because my father and mother, who are in heaven, were being happy and supporting me being with Henry. Just imagining what the future holds for us, I am filled with happiness and couldn't stop smiling. I thought I was at the bottom of my life after my mother died, but I never thought a day would come when I could be this happy. I am the happiest person in the world. At that time, I really thought so. Before my stomach was too big to fit into a wedding dress, we had a wedding ceremony, which Alex and Isabel attended, and Alex walked me down the aisle on behalf of my passed away parents.
We think of you as our own real daughter, Samantha. I have watched you work hard after graduating from high school and joining our company. I support you from the bottom of our hearts, and I hope you will consider us as your parents. Don't be a stranger and don't hesitate about anything to us. Or is it too forceful on you to consider us as your parents?
Since Alex says such thing, I replied, Of course not. I'm so happy and feel very cherished. Thank you very much. I decided to take Alex's words and was very glad at his words. Alex seemed very proud of walking me down the wedding aisle, and after my birth to Rose, at least once a month, I would visit Alex and Isabel just to show Rose. I am so grateful to Alex and Isabel for taking care of me and Rose as if we were their real blood-related daughter and grandchild. I am only indebted to them now, but someday when I have more time, I would like to take care of them as my blood-related parents. Henry is also very caring about our daughter, Rose, and takes good care of her when he is home, and of course, he takes good care of me as well. When Henry sees me moving around, trying to do all the household chores and taking care of Rose perfectly since I am a housewife, he says,
Samantha, why don't you take it easy a little bit? I'm here too, but if you do everything, Samantha, there's nothing for me to do. I'm so lucky to have a lovely, hard-working wife.
Then to Rose he said,
Rosie, Mommy is a hard worker, isn't she?
As he said this, he put Rose on his lap and played with her. Henry would immediately notice when I look a little tired and would quickly offer,
"Samantha, are you okay? I can cook the dinner for all of us."
And he would quickly make a very yummy dinner for all of us. He is really a good husband. However, when Rose turned 2 years old, Henry's attitude and behavior began to change. There was a change in his workplace, and he was assigned to a much busier department than before. He used to come home at 7 p.m. at the latest. After he got assigned to the current department, coming home at 9 or 10 p.m. was the earliest, and there were many days when he comes home later than that. Since Henry comes back home after Rose is asleep and leaves the house before she wakes up, Rose missed her father a lot. Henry spent most of the weekends in bed, saying that he was tired, and our family time as 3 was also greatly reduced. Then, he started talking a lot about the woman, Meredith, who became his co-worker at his current department. Meredith is said to have graduated from a higher GPA university in New York compared to Henry. But she does not hold that fact against him at all and is always very polite and attentive to him. Whenever Henry talks about Meredith, he looks very happy and always smiling, saying how she makes his life at work a lot easier. Good for you for having such a wonderful co-worker.
Yes, I really appreciate her for being in our department. Meredith is really a very smart woman. She reads things 2 or 3 steps ahead of time and doesn't show it off at all. She makes my job so much easier. She's the only reason I'm getting by.
The only time when my husband is in a good mood is when he praises Meredith. If that was the only thing he did, it was fine, but little by little, he started comparing me with Meredith and started complaining at whatever I do. For example, when I was taking care of Rose without cleaning up after dinner, Henry would say,
"Hey, hurry up and clean up." What a slowpoke. If it was Meredith, I bet she would clean up quickly at a time like this. She's so good at anything she does.
Meredith is all my husband ever talks about now. Lately, it seems Henry is calling Meredith by nickname, which is making me somewhat uncomfortable, but I couldn't tell my husband about it. Another time, he got angry when I didn't iron his shirt before going to work, so he said,
"Who do you think takes care of you? Ironing is the simplest chores for the housewife who spends every day like it's Sunday. You can't even do the simplest chores and you just play with Rose and don't cook well enough. What a married life. I feel bad for myself. There are women out there who are perfectly capable of doing the household chores while they work at office. But it's hard to ask the same from a high school graduate like you. Ha 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 ha."
He said this as he laughed. I wanted to say, I'm doing my best too, but I held back my tears and just ironed his shirt, which my husband just took it from my hands and wore it. Of course, without thanking me, and just left to work without saying anything to me. The woman Henry said about earlier, I think he was probably referring to his co-worker Meredith. I cried alone, thinking how he used to praise me, but how did this happen? He had never said anything mean to me or looked down on me as a high school graduate before. But Henry's words were very cold, and I took it in because I did have a complex of not going to university to study further. After that, my husband's words and attitude became worse. He still came home late, and recently he has been working on the weekends also. So he was not at home at all taking care of Rose or doing any of the household chores. Whenever Henry is at home, he would find anything he could to complain about it, so I feel more comfortable when he is gone to work, but in my free time, I would think about my husband all the time. What did I do wrong? Why can't I make Henry happy anymore? Maybe the situation is like this because I am stupid. It's all because I didn't graduate from university. I am such a useless person. I feel sorry for Rose as I was being such a bad mother. It would be better if I didn't exist. These kind of thoughts kept going around and around my head every day. Alex and Isabel were very worried about me as I gradually became worn out without even realizing it. Hey, Samantha, are you eating well? Are you sick? Maybe you need to get a checkup from the hospital. Don't worry about Rose. We will look after her, so why don't you go and get a checkup? Alex and Isabel were both very concerned, but there was nothing wrong with my health. It's just that our family was not doing so well. I laughed and said, "What? Why should I go to the doctors? I am very fine. I'm just on a little diet." I tried to laugh it off, but Alex and Isabel just looked more worried to what I have said, so I guess they didn't believe me for it. Even though I didn't realize it myself, but at this time, I always seemed to be in a daze and had become morbidly thin. I guess my heart was screaming for help. I didn't want to worry Alex and Isabel, so I didn't tell them about how Henry was or what he was saying to me at that time. But I was so sure of this conclusion I came up with. Henry has no more love for me and Rose, but he found someone better outside our family. To Henry, I think Rose and our existence was just in his way. There were many signs from him which made me think that way. Since number of Henry's business trips have increased, he have started to prepare for his business trips by himself by buying his own underwears, which he used to make me do, and every time he comes back from these business trips, I can always smell the same woman's perfume from my husband and his luggages. I don't know if Henry was even trying to hide it or if he thinks I'm too stupid to notice. Even if I am stupid and I'm only a high school graduate, I still have the woman's intuition which he should not underestimate. The hardest part is that even though I am almost certain that my husband is cheating on me, I can't think of the life I would have without him. I know for sure that I can't continue to live like this, but then when I start thinking about actually raising a child on my own, being a single parent, my feet start to wobble and I feel like I'm going to faint. I am sure this is where my husband tells me that I am an idiot. I don't have the courage to stand up for myself, nor do I have any confidence in myself at all. I have no parents to rely on, no relatives, no savings of my own, no job in hand, and my child is very young, so there is a limit to how much I can work. No matter how hard I think about it, I felt stuck in this situation that I had no other choice but to be stuck. So I would get more and more worn out and be morbidly thin. One day, Henry came home early looking troubled, so I asked him, "What's the matter? You seem a little strange today. How was your day at work today?" As I asked, he responded,
I got fired today.
"What?" I couldn't understand what he said because he said it so casually. "What? Wait, I'm sorry, but fired? You mean that you were asked to leave from your job and never to come back?"
Yes, fired. Just fired. When Meredith and I were fondling in the company car, an employee found out about it and reported on us, and now the whole company knows about it.
Did he just admit that he was cheating on me now? He was fondling with Meredith in the company car and was reported about it. What a shame! I found myself becoming strangely calm. Does he even realize that he just revealed the affair he was having with Meredith to me, his wife? Could it be that he said it on purpose? Just to see my reaction for it? When I was just speechless and silent, Henry just smirked and said,
Well, now I'm going to be jobless, so you should work as a breadwinner now.
He said this as he laughed sarcastically. At that moment, I felt something inside of me snap for the very first time. No way, I'm leaving. I must have had a poker face at that moment. However, the only people I could rely on were Alex and Isabel. Alex seemed very surprised to see me with the luggages with Rose, but he welcomed me home and took the time to listen to what I had to say. Then, because it was better to deal with the situation as soon as possible, Alex told me to leave Rose with Isabel, and then Alex and I went to Henry's parents' house on the very same day.
Before Henry could lay any groundwork to frame you, we have to move fast.
Alex was very supportive and helpful, which I am very thankful of, and made me realize that men like Alex can run and be the boss of a company. I went to my husband's parents' house, which was 20 minutes drive away from Alex's place, and reported the whole story, including his recent attitude with me and the fact that he had been fired from his job for having an affair with Meredith. I was not stupid after all. I had kept a memo and recording of Henry's words and dates of his business trips, so I used them while explaining the whole situation to Max and Sadie, Henry's father and mother. When I told everything to Max and Sadie, they were so furious of their own son, they called Henry to come out here, even though it was at the middle of the night. It seems that Henry had been drinking at home after Rose and I left, so when Henry showed up at his parents' house drunk, Max and Sadie were both very furious with him, who reeked of alcohol and lacked any remorse. Max yelled and blamed Henry for all the things he did, and Sadie cried and made Henry understand how deep trouble he is in. Then, Max and Sadie made Henry apologize in front of me and Alex. Max also made Henry call up Meredith to break up, and deleted her number from Henry's phone. In fact, Max asked me if I wanted Meredith to be here, but since I didn't even want to see her face, I refused and said I absolutely do not want to see her. Max made sure to get Meredith's name and address and reminded both Henry and Meredith that we would be getting a lawyer to file a claim for alimony. I was overwhelmed by Max's sheer skill, and Alex, who accompanied and was there for me, but it was reassured that I was not alone and was thankful for both of them for doing such things to help me out in this situation. Henry's alimony was paid to me by Max and Sadie on the spot. They paid me $30,000. When they paid this, I became worried because I thought they overpaid, but then Sadie cried again, saying that there was nothing wrong with me at all, and I was just a very good wife to Henry, and that Max and Sadie loved me very much, but Henry just ruined everything, and Max said that this is the least they could do to pay for the new start of my life, and that I deserve this much and wouldn't take the money back. I certainly need as much money as possible for my future life without my husband. So, in the end, I gratefully took the money. Max and Sadie made Henry promise to continue to pay child support as well. Max and Sadie also said that they will take full responsibility to check on Henry to complete his payments to me for child support. They are very reassuring. By the time the discussion was over, Henry had curled up into a little ball. Seeing Henry like that, I suddenly felt as if all my troubles had been wiped away, thinking, was I really suffering all this time because of this pathetic, worthless man? I wonder if it seemed that way because Henry and I's positions were reversed, or because I was ready to go my separate ways from now on, even though I had been frightened of a life without my husband. Since Henry was out of job, Henry was forced by Max to work at his friend's, a fisherman on a boat to fish for tuna. Since this boat goes overseas for half a year, once the boat sails, he will be living half a year on the boat. Since there is no place to have fun, he had to spend his days struggling to catch tunas. Max would then collect the salary he earns as a fisherman and transfers the child support money to me. Since it is a hard job, the salary seems to be better than when he was an office worker, and I received more child support than I was promised at first, which is very helpful. Sadie told me with a laugh that when the child support for Rose and the alimony payment made to Max and Sadie, Henry is left with only a small amount of money. It's his fault. It's nothing we can do about it. Sadie said with a laugh, and to that, I thought even when he is off the boat, he has no money to fool around, so it sucks to be him. As for me, I was able to return to my former workplace thanks to Alex's arrangement. I was familiar with everyone at work, and I am able to work in a relaxed environment where Rose can show up at work without any hesitation. Alex and Isabel continue to be my parents, and we often have dinner together and go on trips and enjoy our time together. I have lost almost about 20 pounds, but I have almost gained a lot of it back, and my health condition is getting better. Thanks to the support of those around me, Rose, who has always looked worried for me, started to smile more and will finally start kindergarten this year. Alex and Isabel will also be there for Rose's first day of kindergarten, which makes me feel warm and fuzzy, thinking this is what having parents or grandparents are like. Thanks to Alex and Isabel, who always warmly watched over us, and Max and Sadie, whom I still keep in touch today. All of them show a lot of love and support to Rose, which makes her grow up into a loving and gentle child. With everyone watching over us, we, as parents and children, have been able to spend our lives happily. At one point in life when I was living with Henry, I had given up hopes and thought that my life was hopeless, but now that I am on my own, I realize that although I couldn't think it like this back when I lost my mother, I actually have so many people taking care of me, as I am not alone, and thanks to Max and Sadie's support, I received child support from Henry, so I feel that my life is not a waste anymore. I had lost all confidence in myself because Henry kept making fun of me, but if I am living honestly and hard, I don't need to worry about being denied by anyone. I am going to continue to live my life looking forward to the future every day so that my parents who are in heaven will be happy and smiling over us from there.